Hello Constellation, welcome to Starchaeology Tarot, home to tarot readings for anyone ready to dig deep and break inner ground. I'm Desi, your Starchaeologist, and I'm so grateful that you're here. If you're hoping to receive blessings, start by giving a blessing. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel right now. Give the abundance you wish to receive. It's a law of the universe, trust me, it'll be worth it. Today we're going to be looking at your path to success, what it looks like, what obstacles are a part of that path to success, and what advice and guidance you need at this precise moment, no matter where you are on that path. So take a moment and see which pile calls to you the most, which deck. This is deck 1, deck 2, deck 3, deck 4. Whenever you're ready, use the timestamps below to jump to the reading of your choice. Welcome to my first cluster of beautiful stars. You chose deck number 1. This is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, designed by Lindsay Silverman and Eye of Astro. Really beautiful, stunning deck. So let's take a moment and call in spirit, call in source energy, call in your guides, your angels, and your future higher self. Your future self and your higher self. Maybe that's two different entities. Okay, we got a few cards here. Oh my gosh. The universe, the Two of Wands, the Ten of Wands, and the Ten of Pentacles. Wow. Give us a few more cards. Oh my God, perfect. Queen of Pentacles. Two of Swords. Wow, 2-2. 10-10. Such amazing symmetry here. Okay, really interesting messages here, cluster number 1. So first of all, we have the universe, and I'm pairing it with the Queen of Pentacles, but the universe, which is traditionally known as the world in tarot. Funny that we are finding at the very beginning of your path to success, the final card. We're finding the ending already built into the beginning. The messages here, what I'm hearing is that think about time as a point. Think about it non-linearly. The more you think about it as being something that's away from you, something that you have to achieve, the less you're able to recognize the ending that you've already achieved, that's already in you. It's almost like where you are headed is already a part of who you are now. And many of you have a very keen awareness of this, of carrying yourself now like the person that you're going to become, or the person that you are now is already shaped by who you will become and what you're going to accomplish and what you're going to do, what you're going to complete and bring full circle. What a beautiful place to start. I mean, endings and beginnings are one point. You know, if everything is circular, they are one point. It's the moment where rebirth happens. And it's this place of unlimited potential, because you could argue that the universe is the same as the Fool in the Major Arcana, right? It goes, if everything is circular. So in some sense, some knowing of where you're going to end up, that's what gives you this sense of unlimited opportunity and unlimited potential, and also an optimism that gives you the strength to take the leaps and risks necessary to realize this ending. It's like knowing that you're already going to be at the ending is what makes you brave enough to move towards the ending. And this has a great deal to do with self-trust. This has a lot to do with relying on yourself and depending on yourself to show up for yourself in certain ways. Knowing that you can trust the ground under your feet. You can trust what the tangible acts of service and the tangible resources you have for yourself, that you give to yourself, as important tools to bringing about this final ending, to bringing you the world, if I'm going to say that a little bit more poetically. There's also a clue here that if there are some of you who feel like an ending needs to happen before you begin your journey on the path to success, some of you might not feel like you're even on the path to success right now. You might feel like you're on another path entirely. And those of you who are hearing this know if that's you or not. For those of you, the message here is that you need to reach the end of that path before you can begin walking this path to success, because it's another path entirely. There needs to be something that comes full circle. You need some form of closure on the path you're walking now in order to free yourself up to walk the path towards your own success. And I'm talking about the success that's truly yours. I think some of you might think you're on the path to success right now, but when you really think about it, it's not your success that you're after. It's like you're fighting your way through for success by someone else's definition, or someone else's standard, or someone else's dreams that you've taken on as your own. This is your opportunity and your calling to bring that journey to a close, to come full circle, complete it, so that you can start anew with that ending and set yourself on the path you actually want to be on. And a big part of that has to do with trusting yourself, and with providing for yourself, with trusting that you have the resources and opportunities you need to make that happen, that you don't need to wait for someone else to give you those resources or tools. You actually have access to so much that you would need for this journey right now. It's already within you. Even if it's just your own potential to provide yourself those resources, even if you don't have the resources literally in your hands yet. There's a sense of knowing, a sense of self-trust and dependability, self-dependability and self-reliability that needs to be acknowledged in order for you to walk this path. In other words, you can do this. You won't have to do this alone, because we don't ever end up doing anything alone. But the knowledge that you can do it alone is so crucial to accepting this future version of yourself, to already feeling like you've accomplished that even though you haven't lived it yet. There needs to be this kind of trust in your own self-reliance. And maybe some of you struggle with that. But I'm sensing that most of you are very aware of this, and this actually is what makes you aware of the future potential, aware of the ending, even though you're not there yet. The biggest obstacle that you're going to be having on your path to success is the obstacle of choice. Not so much the choices themselves, but more so the pressure that choice brings up. In other words, don't get too caught up in having to in the pressure and stress of visualizing the future that you want perfectly. There is no such thing as perfect. And letting yourself imagine a future that you want, imagine a destination that you want, or a path that you want. There needs to be a kind of looseness with that, a kind of like willingness to just accept whatever comes to mind that gives you a spark of fire, of passion, of desire, and just recognizing that. As soon as you start overthinking it, This threatens to paralyze you or put you in times of paralysis on your path that bring you to an utter standstill, because it's almost like you're too afraid of pursuing the wrong desire. And I think the message here is that there is no wrong desire. It's more important to make choices on this path for you than to not make any choices at all, or to be so preoccupied by making the right choice that you slow your progress down a great deal. You know, it's interesting seeing Two of Wands here as an obstacle, meaning like that what you might struggle with is being able to visualize what it is you want. And I think some of you, another message here is you don't even need to visualize it perfectly. You can know the ending in your heart without actually being able to define what all the details are. Knowing the ending in your heart isn't like, I have this picture perfect, this crystal clear image of what this endpoint, what this destination looks like to me. Some of you, maybe it is that, but it doesn't have to be that. It's more about being able to feel how you want to feel in the end. And the how and the why is, those are all details that are left up to the universe that you might discover along the way. When we talk about manifestation and visualization, this is simply about, this can be as simple as visualizing yourself at peace. We don't need to know what brings you peace. You just need to be able to see yourself at peace, or to see yourself joyful. We don't need to know the how or the why or the what is making you joyful. We just need to see what joy looks like in your body and in your spirit and in your heart, and feel what that is. It's so much more important to go by those instinctual feelings than by thought, you know, instead of by this kind of like logical problem solving of the Two of Swords. Because this, when we apply that kind of logical, rational brain to a matter that is not a logical, rational matter, but rather a question of soul purpose and desire and passion and soulful intelligence rather than mental intelligence, it's like using the wrong tool for a job that doesn't need a sword, it needs a wand. So of course, the longer you try to use the wrong tools, the more confused you get and the more stuck you get at trying to make a decision, because that's not the right tool to use in that decision-making moment. Your compass is your desire. And the biggest piece of advice here, even though there's already advice, so much advice built into the cards we've already talked about, Ten of Wands, don't be so proud of the burden that you carry along the way on this journey towards your success. The burden, the burden of responsibility and commitment and hard work. It's great to be proud of your hard work, but as soon as you start defining yourself by it, or almost becoming like a victim about it, you know, like, I have to carry all these wands. And even when there comes a time when you actually can set some of the wands down, but you choose to keep carrying them out of pride, that's when you walk off course of your path to success. That's when you take a detour that's not going to get you there any quicker. Don't let that pride of being able to do it all force you to keep doing it all when it's completely unnecessary and when it's actually not aligned with your highest purpose. This will close you off from this Ten of Pentacles success. You know, funny, we asked this question, the path to success, with the sun in mind, which is true deep fulfillment and joy and freedom and accomplishment and achievement. It's, in other words, it's not at all connected to the conditions of our lives or the tangible reflections of success in an earthly, worldly way. And yet the Ten of Pentacles is here to say that that is a part of your deep success. Part of your deep fulfillment and joy, like a side effect of it, is that you can have it all on earth. You can have all of these earthly indicators of success and achievement and abundance. But your pride could cost that. It could cost you that. You need to be able to put down some wands, put down some responsibilities, some burdens, even if your ego is identifying them with your power. It's not your power. Your power actually is in letting go of them, not in holding on to them. This could be a sign that you're letting too many things define you. And the irony of it is that when you let those things go, you actually are rewarded more things. Such a great lesson from the universe. And how often does that happen, where when we want something so bad, we keep it away from ourselves. We kind of energetically repel it. And then as soon as we don't care, as soon as we're just like in flow and neutral about it, those things come to us effortlessly. That's really what the advice is here. Don't care so much about the things, the indicators that measure your success. Instead, just focus on the feelings. Just focus on where you want to be emotionally, where your desire leads you, and what's at the root of those desires. You could say, I want a lot of money, but that's not actually what you want. What's at the root of that? Do you want freedom? And you think money is going to get you that? Only you can answer that question for yourself. But that's where, when I'm talking about desire, that's where you need to really get curious about what that true desire is, not the superficial desire. And then focus on the truth of the desire, not how it looks on the outside. But your path to success is very, it's an abundant one. Constellation number one. It's really, there's so much potential to honestly, to get everything that you want. And it's just up to you. How you handle these twos that find their way into your path of decision. And then your relationship to burden and responsibility, and whether you let that define who you are and give you a sense of power or not. I would love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life. Please comment below. I'm so grateful you joined me today. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. I really want to grow this community more and more every day. I love you very much. I'm rooting for you as always. Hello, those of you who chose deck number 2, constellation number 2, my beautiful cluster of stars. This is Mermaid Tarot deck by Dame Darcy, a mermaid-themed nautical fever dream. It's a beautiful deck. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides, your angels, spirit, source energy. Okay. So, oh my God, the sun. Wow, okay. The Devil. Don't be scared. This is juicy and empowering. 5 of Swords. Lovely. So, actually, I will take a moment to talk about this. No, I want to clarify the Sun, though, right off the bat. Let's just clarify that. Thank you. Queen of Cups. Beautiful. So, okay, cluster number 2. This is, so where you are right now, this is fascinating. I mean, that the Sun would come out and this is what we're looking at specifically. It's like saying you're curious about your success. You're curious about who you are, which is success. You are the Sun. You are an achievement just in who you are. Just in your character, your integrity, the person that you are, everything that you have worked to be up until this point, you're already a success. That's not to say we're not going to look at your path towards more success, but it's really, really important for you to recognize this, pile 2, cluster 2, because that's the truth. And without recognizing the truth, it's really hard to walk a truthful path. It's hard to be guided by truthful principles if you are shutting an eye to the truth of who you are. And this determines your path. You are someone who is incredibly authentic. You are your authentic self, and you let your light shine. And it is a light. It's a real light that also brings other things to light. You know, you walk into a room, a way of thinking about this, and you reveal things, whether it's authenticity in other people or authenticity about certain subjects that are spoken about in that room. You bring things and people to light, to their own light, by kind of shining your light upon them. And that might also just be a big clue to what success for you, more success for you, looks like. Does hearing this and recognizing this about yourself immediately conjure up an image of your future self? Does this reflection of your strengths and of who you are kind of clear away a very clear path forward for you of what you want to be doing or where you want to be going? And I'm hearing that a big part of walking your path is about acknowledging the success of who you already are and acknowledging your own light, your inner light. So maybe some of you also could be what I'm hearing is, while you are an authentic person, maybe there is a struggle to hide that sometimes, or to hide the truth of who you are. Out of fear. No surprise there. We all do this to a certain degree, but there might be an impulse to hide your light. And it's really hard to inquire about your success when you're not allowing yourself to shine, because that is what true success is. It is letting yourself shine. It isn't 10 of Pentacles. Yes, 10 of Pentacles is abundance. It's, you know, getting all of those earthly things that we associate with success, but it isn't true success. The true success is actually the freedom and joy of being who you really are in all of your glory, and accepting all of it and loving all of it and feeling so fulfilled by simply just being it. And we think that these other things are going to get us this, really. And sometimes they do temporarily, sometimes they align with this, they go hand in hand, and sometimes they straight up don't. But this is just such a nice reminder that letting your light shine, you can't pursue a path of true success without letting your light shine. Queen of Cups, to clarify that a little bit, so much about this is your emotional intelligence, acknowledging your emotional intelligence. others of you, it's about acknowledging your creativity, your incredible power, your incredible creative power. And maybe that is an element of your light that you don't necessarily let yourself shine, or you don't shine on other people. You know, letting them know what a creative force you are, or what an emotionally intelligent force you are. If you're looking specifically for success, if you came to this specifically wondering about success in career and life purpose and life path, I'm inclined to think, with the Queen of Cups coming out here with the Sun, that your true success in life lies in the realm of artistry. It lies in the realm of creativity, or it lies in the realm of emotional intelligence in a way that is of service to other people. Your biggest obstacle in this, and we touched on this very briefly, is your shadow. And it doesn't have to be. That's what I think the biggest message here is. What's so important about the devil is that the devil isn't there to be defeated. Your shadow doesn't exist to be obliterated. Your shadow exists to be accepted. You know, your shadow doesn't go away in the light of the sun. Think about that metaphor. Even when you are in full sunlight, your shadow's there. It just moves. It's always attached to you. In fact, in sunlight, in direct sunlight, that's when you see your shadow the strongest, the clearest, as opposed to a cloudy day. What a beautiful metaphor that is for the fact that your shadow is a part of your success. It's a part of your ultimate acceptance and love and fulfillment. You don't choose light over shadow. Instead, true success is holding space for both of those things. But your biggest obstacle, you might feel like you're in a position where you need to defeat your shadow, or defeat the parts of you that you judge the most. That's not to say that you can't improve on the things that you judge about yourself, or you can't improve on you know, I don't even know what to call them. 12-step programs call them character defects, character deficiencies, maybe. The lessons that you still have to learn that you can improve on, you know. That's not to say you can't improve on them, but this is about not going over and above judging yourself for things that you're still learning, things that you're trying to improve, become better at. Also, things that you're trying to heal. A lot of that lies in the realm of our shadow. You know, trauma from past conditioning or past events, past traumatic events. Those often are responses to pain, often result in coping mechanisms that are not maybe the most light and evolved ways of behaving. They live more in the shadow realm of our beings. But do we blame ourselves for that? No. We're a product of our environments, all of us. So it's about understanding those elements of our shadow with grace and acceptance and curiosity so that they can heal and change. I'm also seeing another interpretation of this is that many of you, your biggest obstacle is restriction. It's restriction and it's attachment to things that actually don't make you light up or don't amplify your natural light. They don't help you shine. Your biggest obstacle is a self-restriction from shining, from letting yourself show your authentic self to others. get one more card to clarify this. Okay, Four of Wands. Yeah, so Four of Wands. That's really interesting. That makes me think that this has a lot of the shadow, a lot of the parts of your shadow that you're facing, or the part of your shadow that you are facing, has to do with either what your idea of harmony is, or stability or security. You know, maybe you're putting a lot on some external milestone that you think is going to eliminate all your character defects. Like someone choosing you, whether it's for a life partnership or a job. But having this kind of sense of like this picturesque, you know, harmony, domestic bliss, that maybe you have a lot of negative self-talk around, or negative self-judgment around, and that's something that's keeping you from embracing all that you are. Another potential for this is that your shadow is actually keeping you from this. Your shadow rears its head the most in the face of these kinds of triggers and opportunities regarding your home life, marriage, partnership, community, harmony within your community, harmony within your family, harmony within your environment. So it could be that those things you are very at odds with each other, and that's the biggest obstacle to you embracing your true self. Maybe you think that your true self might actually threaten harmony in some way, harmony in your community in some way, which is a product of a false belief system. As we see with the devil's a trickster. And many beliefs that we have that are rooted in devil energy are very strong beliefs, but not strong truths. But we are tricked into believing they are the truth, when in fact they are a belief system that we subscribe to every day. And with every thought, we choose to keep practicing. Give us one more card here. Thank you. So we have the Three of Cups. So Five of Swords. Let's start with that first. Your advice is so funny. Oh, especially when paired with the Three of Cups. It's almost like choose friendship and choose to focus on the things that you have in common with maybe people in that community or your family, or others that you expect conflict with. Choose to focus on the things that bring you together, and to highlight and actually magnify those things, those points of relation in the face of conflict. That doesn't mean that you can't engage in conflict, because I think not being afraid of conflict is actually a big part of your advice here. It's like, go into conflict with the intention of being a friend, you know, of making your competitor a friend, not an enemy. The purpose is not to make an enemy of them. It is to build connection with them. And we don't think about conflict in that way. You know, we think about conflict as like this opportunity to prove ourselves, and we make enemies through conflict. We separate ourselves through conflict. When in fact, it doesn't have to be about defeat. You know, conflict can exist, and we can exist within a kind of suspended conflict and hold space for that without ever having to necessarily resolve it, and still find harmony and peace in that state of this suspended conflict. I think we're so uncomfortable with conflict that we're constantly trying to defeat the person that we're in conflict with, or win them over, like, you know, convince them of something, and then that's how defeat takes shape. But there is this gray zone of understanding where it's like, I actually understand, I hold space for everything that you are and why you believe what you believe, considering everything your life has brought you through to this point. And I'm not going to try to convince you of anything, but I'd like to reach a place of understanding where you have that understanding for me as well, and we both have that understanding for each other, and we have a friendship in spite of it. And that is where your advice lies when it comes to allowing yourself to shine your light and be your authentic self. You know, it's almost like I think this battle for you is manifesting in a really binary way. It's like either I show myself or I show none of myself out of fear. And, you know, either I walk the path that I want to towards success, or I don't walk it at all. And this offers a kind of middle road of compromise. I'm not even sure if compromise is the right word, because it's like you still win. You still get to be all that you are. But there's also a letting go of the things that you can't control on that path, and a letting go of the valuing of those things that maybe right now are affecting your idea of success, but really they don't have to have anything to do with success. Really powerful message. Such a message about success on our own terms versus the terms of others, and how much other people's opinions and judgments weigh into how we define success. And that's the biggest issue, I think, for you, Cluster 2, what you have to think about as you take more steps in the direction towards your own inevitable success, as long as you choose to do the work on your way there. Please share with me what this is about for you, how this looks for you. You know, I'm always curious to connect with you and hear what your experience is, if you're open enough to share. I love you very much. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so, and I'll see you next time. Hello, those of you who chose deck number 3. This is the New Chapter Tarot by Catherine Briggs. A really beautiful deck full of a lot of sacred geometry. So, constellation number 3, cluster number 3, calling in your guides, angels, calling in spirit and source energy, Ace of Discs. What does their path to success look like? Their paths to success, since this is a full constellation of people. 8 of Discs. Ooh! Wow. Knight of Discs. All Pentacles energy. Wow. It's really interesting. And then the Knight of Swords. So right now you're finding yourself in a place where you actually do have some sort of new opportunity, a new resource at your fingertips. Whether you are aware of it or not, it is there. And it's something that can be capitalized on, that's crucial to your ultimate success. You already have the beginnings of that in your hands at this moment. And if you haven't been thinking that way, take a moment to really meditate on what that could be. Because this is a situation where it's clear there's something right in front of you that's an important first step on the path towards what you want. And I'm hearing that many of you have this idea of what success looks like, and it feels so far from maybe where you are now, that it's hard for you to recognize the baby steps, the foundation that can be built to that ultimate destination, because the foundation looks so different from the destination. that's true for any journey. You know, the baby steps look very, very different. The beginning baby steps look very, very different from the final steps when you reach that goal. You're in two completely different places. So this makes it very clear that there's some opportunity, something that has manifested for you, an example of abundance currently in your life, an example of a resource currently in your life that is an opportunity. It is the door opening to that path towards your ultimate success. So be aware of this, be conscious of this, so that you can then capitalize on it, so that you can make the most of what you have right now to progress along your path more quickly, to bring about that ultimate success more quickly than you might otherwise if you were not to recognize what's in front of you at this exact moment. Knight of Swords is here as well, which tells me that I think some of you might be making very swift judgments on what this is, or maybe there is a resource in your life right now that you've already made some sort of swift judgment or assumption about. And I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, because I think it's different for different members of the collective, of the constellation listening. But for some of you, that judgment is wrong. And for others of you, that judgment is right. And those of you for whom it is right, I think you know it's right because it's something that you can see very clearly supports your ultimate goal. Those of you who are having trouble seeing what this opportunity is that supports or leads to your ultimate goal, that might be due to the fact that you've made some kind of swift assumption that is false. So look at the assumptions that you've made about some resource in your life or some new foundation in your life, and question those judgments and assumptions you've made, because that could be the thing that's keeping you from recognizing this as the beginning of your path to success. We also have the Eight of Pentacles here, or Eight of Discs, which tells me that the biggest obstacle you have besides this Knight of Swords issue right here, it's not really an issue, it's kind of just like the state of where you are right now on your path to success. We have this Eight of Pentacles here. Some of you, I think the biggest obstacle is the idea of repetition and practice, and almost like paying your dues, like the repetitive, redundant nature of putting in time and practice to something every single day and devoting yourself to the path as opposed to the destination. I know that's really hard when what you're curious about is the destination. You want to know what's going to get you to that ultimate success. And today we're looking at the path to that ultimate success. This is like saying that part of the block for you is so much focus on the destination that it's at the expense of you seeing the value in the journey. And this outlook is your greatest obstacle. There needs to be a shift in your perspective as you walk this path towards success that makes the journey and the path itself, the day-to-day mundane hard work that doesn't actually have to be mundane. It can be joyful and it can be fulfilling. That needs to have as much value. And you giving it as much value as the value you're giving to the destination is only going to help you reach the destination sooner. And also be prepared mentally and emotionally for success. So many of us reach success before we are ready for it, and what ends up happening is it doesn't bring the fulfillment and satisfaction that we think it's going to bring, because it came at a time when we were spiritually unevolved and not ready for it, not ready to understand what the nature of worldly success is. So this practice and this your literal practice of whatever you're doing, that's important to your goal, plus the practice of just valuing the practice, of valuing the path itself and enjoying the routine and really finding fulfillment in the day-to-day routine. is a really important part of preparing you for the success that is waiting for you, should you choose to walk the path towards it. This is so bolstered by Knight of Discs advice, Knight of Pentacles advice, which tells us that what is being asked of you on this journey is this macro view of the journey itself. Again, there's stress on hard work, routine, productivity, but not being afraid of baby steps every day. And thinking about that strategically. Like, this isn't, your path to success is not quick. And I don't mean that in any sort of negative way, Constellation 3. What I mean is that it's not an instant gratification. It's not something that just like you get lucky. It's something that actually you earn, that is a reflection of how incredible you are and what you put out into the world and what you have to offer other people, which makes the success that much sweeter in the first place. You know, getting lucky does not take work. It doesn't take work. It's not a reflection on your character or your talent or your skill. This is, the success that is ahead for you is dependent on that. It is a reflection of who you are, which makes it a far more robust and fulfilling version of success than the latter. So there's no reason to wish for anything other than this, which is hard work, routine, productivity, little steps every day, enjoying the routine, enjoying the practice, and seeing the journey itself as just important, if not more, than the destination. You know, in the Rider-Waite deck, I mean, I love this art. We'll talk about a little bit about the symbolism in here in a minute, but in the Rider-Waite deck, it's the Knight of Pentacles is one of the knights that is at a complete standstill. It's like that movement is so small each day that it almost looks sometimes like he's not moving at all, or it feels like we are not moving at all when we're in a Knight of Pentacles type of action or adventure. There's so much strategy and thought and daily chipping away that goes into that kind of adventure versus a Knight of Swords adventure, which is just make these big assumptions, jump into battle, sword swinging, and see what happens, you know? This is so much more thoughtful, and the advice is to be thoughtful. The advice is to lean into that thoughtful, strategic, slow, steady, grounded, somewhat conservative approach to your path to success that will only help you here. I love just speaking about this night as well. There's such something that's really beautiful, I think, that the art in this deck highlights that the Rider-Waite does not, is the amount of care that you see in this image. See, our knight is here, and we're not seeing the knight in a state of progress. We're actually seeing the knight in a state of rest and rejuvenation. She's petting the horse. She's taking care of the horse at a time where the horse needs like energy and fuel. You know, it's time to like refuel, rest, rejuvenate, because this knight knows that that is such a crucial part strategically to actually getting to that finish line. Whereas the Knight of Swords is not thinking at all about that. The Knight of Swords has no strategy, is not taking time, you know, strategic moments to pause and reflect and rest, and seeing that as an important part of progress, which it is. That's just one example, but I think it's a very clear example that there are things like that, whether it's rest, refueling, waiting for inspiration, or whatever it is, that is an important part of your journey where it looks like you're doing nothing. It might look to other people like you are not moving, when actually what you're doing is strategizing about your movement, and you're being very smart about your movement. And that is what is so important, such an important ingredient to your path to success and to your ultimate success. Give us a few more cards, Spirit. Beautiful. Wow, the Chariot. So part of this thing is having the willpower to actually have a routine and commit to a routine. It's funny. It's like you might be full of willpower for the actual goal. Like, oh, you're so clear about the direction. You're so clear about the destination. But to such a degree that it's making you gloss over the day-to-day willpower, the small examples of willpower. That require, some might argue, a much more complex display of strength, because it's more about endurance as opposed to a sprint, you know, a quick show of strength, which maybe your destination might require. But the journey to the destination requires this kind of enduring, committed, slow, steady strength, really similar to Knight of Discs. So much of what it just fits right into the message here so seamlessly. That willpower and motivation doesn't have to do with the destination. It has to do with the path itself, with the process, with the practice, the routine. And it could be because you're seeing the routine as being this mundane, day-to-day, boring thing. That's part of the problem. You know, how do you motivate yourself to show up day to day for those mundane things? Maybe a good place to start is not calling it mundane. Maybe it's about finding joy and even divinity. See that stained glass window, divinity in a simple practice. You know, seeing things in front of you, seeing the work in front of you through a different light, through this like kaleidoscope, multicolor, like beautiful, divine, otherworldly light. Give us one more card, Spirit. Wow. We got two more cards. Princess of Swords and the Queen of Cups. Yeah, so part of this Knight of Discs is this slow, steady approach, is taking a step back on this Knight of Swords approach of quick judgment, quick assumptions, and actually rebuilding a belief system. Approaching this with curiosity as opposed to judgment. Judgment can't exist where curiosity exists. They're antithetical to each other. So if you find yourself still in this place of like making swift judgments so that you believe you can take quick action, pause and actually become curious about the information being presented in front of you. Because what likely needs to happen is a complete shift of how you believe, what you believe about yourself and your path and your success ultimately. And that there's a shift in thinking and in the words that you're speaking to others and to yourself that is so crucial to supporting this Knight of Discs, slow, steady, committed, Eight of Discs kind of apprenticeship on your way to mastery. It also is no surprise here going to take a great deal of emotional intelligence to find yourself in this curious state, to conjure this kind of curiosity and to choose it over judgment. Also, it opens the door to creativity for you. It's interesting. Judgment keeps you from creativity. Quick assumptions keep you from creativity, true creativity. They're more aligned with productivity in a way that sacrifices creativity because you're looking for the quickest answer, the quickest product, as opposed to the most interesting one, the most beautiful one, the most challenging one, the one that's most aligned with your message and your mission and your purpose. So stopping, pausing, being strategic about your day-to-day steps allows, it creates enough space for creativity to blossom naturally. And that's going to be a big, big part of your journey too, making space for that creativity. I hope this was resonant, Constellation 3. Please comment below. Let me know what this means to you. You know, I'm always curious to hear, and I so appreciate whenever any of you open up about your lives. It's a great honor to bear witness to wherever you are in your journeys. I love you very much. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hello, those of you that chose deck number 4, constellation number 4. I'm so grateful that you're part of this star cluster. This is the Trip and Wait Tarot Stars Edition deck. It's very psychedelic and groovy, and I love it. I'm going to take a moment to call in spirit, call in source energy, call in your guides, the guides and angels of every single individual that is part of cluster number 4, constellation number 4 here. Ooh. Okay, so let's see. We have Justice in reverse. We have the 7 of Pentacles. We have the 3 of Wands. And we have the Page of Wands. Maybe a few more cards, Spirit. 9 of Wands in reverse. Yeah. And one more card. Wow. Wheel of Fortune. Okay, cluster number 4, this is a pretty powerful message, and I feel so strongly that so many of you need to hear this because you don't have the evidence in your life to tell you this otherwise. And I say that because we have the Justice in reverse here, which tells me that up until now, you've experienced a great deal of injustice in your life, unfairness, a lack of accountability, kind of like no matter how much you have put into something, it feels like you're not reaping the equal rewards, the rewards of that hard work. You're not seeing the product of everything that you are giving, and it's unfair. It feels very, very unfair. It also feels untruthful. You know, it makes you kind of question the concept of karma. The concept of like hard work pays off, you know, or even just any kind of autonomy in creating your own situation or your destiny. This has made you not only well defended, able to stand your ground and take care of yourself. You've learned the hard way from life. Life has taught you some very, very hard lessons. But it's also crossed that line into a place that's actually quite unproductive, meaning you are so defensive, cluster 4. And I don't mean that at all as an insult. It's more like you're so protective of what is yours and of yourself and of your loved ones, of your people, and what you do have, what you have accomplished, because you've had to be, because life has been incredibly unfair to you in many ways. But this kind of protection, over defensiveness of yourself it's imbalanced because of the imbalance of justice in your life, not only protects you from threats, it protects you from opportunities as well. It's crossed into that part where you're not living from a place of expansion, of feeling like anything is possible and like, you know, I'm open to new opportunities. I'm open to these opportunities to pull me out of this. I have hope for the future. You know, I'm very conscious of like what's outside of my bubble, and that there's so many good things out there in addition to maybe bad things. You know, it's a split of light and dark, but when we see 9 of Wands in reverse in this way, it's like the imbalance between the split is so far in the direction of recognizing threats, recognizing the darkness that's outside of your wall of protection. So much more so than recognizing the good that's waiting for you outside of that wall of protection. And so ultimately, you're the one who suffers from this. Of course, this means you're well protected from threats as well, but at what cost? You know, all reward takes risk. True, deep, lasting, robust, real reward requires risk. And anyone who's experienced any success can tell you that. It's always a requirement. It's like exposing yourself to shadow is what ultimately lets you experience the light. You need that duality in order to experience the extremes of those dualities. So that's the place you're in, which is such a tough place on your path right now. And I can understand why that might make you feel like a little disillusioned. Your biggest obstacle here, though, is not the lack of justice. It isn't the lack of fairness, or like there is some kind of law that is keeping you from cashing in on everything that you give. Cause and effect is a law of the universe. It's just that you're not at the point in the journey yet where you're reaping the rewards. And so it's so easy to look at your past and say, well, it's not working for me, when that's not the truth at all. Your biggest obstacle is really interesting. This is like a power dynamic issue. How much of your power you give away to other people, and how much you don't. I think that this is really tricky, because a big part of your destiny here, the destiny on your path, boils down to allowing yourself to be helped by certain people. And if you are so protected and so well defended that you not only keep away your enemies, but you keep away your saviors, you keep away the people who are in service to you, then you stall yourself on this path. This tells me that there's a big part of you fulfilling your destiny is about accepting help from others. Looking at the relationship between giving and receiving in your own life and rebalancing it. That doesn't mean that what you are giving is perfectly equal to what you are receiving. There can be balance in relationships that seem unequal. They seem unequal on the outside, but that's just because they look unequal in very earthly terms. In spiritual law, this person needs to learn a lesson about giving. This person needs to learn a lesson about receiving. And so it's equal. And so it's symbiotic. And there's a balance there, a spiritual balance in which everyone is getting what they need in this scenario. And it's about looking at your current scenario through that spiritual lens, through the lens of spiritual law, not literal law, not, ironically, the law of justice. We both have scales here. And it's so funny because you are in this place of thinking about things really from this point of like what's fair, what's unfair, what's equal, what's not. And the more you are in that, it's harder to think about your situation in a way that empowers you. And if you can't think about your situation in a way that empowers you, then you stay disempowered. Like, no doubt, you stay disempowered. So the biggest obstacle for you is shifting this relationship between giving and receiving in your life in a way that you're destined to shift it. It's almost like I'm seeing that there are even maybe like there's synchronicity and things that are lining up for you, like opportunities or people coming into your life that are there to help, and yet there's a resistance to that. It's like a resistance to things becoming easier or things like lining up in a way, almost like an approach like or like an assumption like that's too good to be true, I don't trust it, which also comes back to that 9 of Wands in reverse, over defensiveness, over protection. The seemingly biggest obstacle to you is that synchronicity. It is the hand of destiny interrupting your journey to aid you, to give you a literal hand, a hand from the universe to help you. And yet there is this view that that's the obstacle. It's like the obstacle is accepting that hand. It's recognizing it. It's accepting it. Right now there's denial happening. And that denial also can be rooted in a Six of Pentacles issue, which is an issue around power, which is likely an issue rooted in your ego and what your ego thinks you need in order to survive, or really what it needs for it to survive. You are not your ego, but there's a part of you that thinks that things need to be a certain way for you to protect the little power that you have in life. You know, it's like we're powerful and also we're powerless. But when we start moving from this place of like, I recognize how powerless I am and I only have so much power, we behave from a very egocentric, fear-based place of protecting that power. Whereas when we accept how powerless we are and let go, we end up realizing how powerful we are in addition to powerless. One of those strange dualities of our existence. So this is, you know, I could see this manifesting in ways where you, like in power struggles with other people about things that really don't matter, you know, things that aren't actually going to progress you along a path that is more aligned with what is important to you. It's like fighting battles that are just power battles, that aren't really, again, about you, about your soul, about your mission and your purpose in life, or what you genuinely want, but rather about what you feel like you are obligated to do in order to survive. And it's that approach to life that is keeping you stalled on your path to success. Another way of phrasing this is that facing this obstacle, challenging this obstacle, and working through this obstacle is a sign that you're progressing along your path. So if you are engaging with this right now, that's a great sign. That's such an encouraging thing, because this is an important part of your ultimate success. All these obstacles for everyone in this reading, whether you're in cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever your obstacle is a big clue. If you're dealing with the obstacle and you're facing it head on, that's a big clue that you actually are working through what needs to be worked through in order for you to achieve the success that is destined for you. And this one definitely is destined for you, cluster 4. This is the only reading, the only spread where Wheel of Fortune came out. So there is an element of destiny here. And this obstacle being such a crucial part of you realizing your destiny. Overcoming worn out beliefs about power dynamics, about fairness, about the balance between giving and receiving, and what equality really is there. The advice is to connect with what you want. It's incredible. Connect with what you want. The only other Wands card we have here is in reverse. Just like your desires are so clamped down, they're so numb, your true desires, what your soul wants, because you are in such a state of survival, such survival mode. The advice instead is to do what you can to let go of that survival mode as best as you can, so that you can make space for desire to blossom within you, and then use those desires as a compass. This is about harnessing what makes you different and using it as a superpower, as an advantage, as you look out over the adventure ahead of you and visualize it and daydream about it and get excited about it. The advice for you right now is to start getting excited about the path that you actually want to be taking. You can let yourself be excited, cluster 4. And that's why Page of Wands is here too. It's like almost like your job right now, the crucial job for you right now is to get curious about your own desire, to lose yourself in activities that make you feel alive. And it doesn't matter if you don't understand how that's going to work in to the picture of your ultimate success. That's actually not your job. Your job is to be a student of desire, to channel this kind of childlike inspiration and motivation. You know, the kind that you see in a young child when they're learning a new sport. They're learning softball and they become kind of obsessive about it. You know, and they're in the backyard and they're just hitting ball after ball after ball after ball. They're so
in flow. And it's not because they're good at it yet. It's not because they're reaping some reward. It's the joy of doing it and the curiosity of it, of how it works, and wanting to get better, and genuinely having fun. That that drives their action. And that is such a crucial component and ingredient in you walking the path to your own success. I'm seeing that what I'm hearing is it's time for you to start walking your path, not the path of someone else, not the path that you think injustice has, sentenced you to for the rest of your life. You're not sentenced to anything, Cluster 4. You are free to pursue what you want, regardless of what has happened to you in the past. What has happened to you in the past can certainly dissuade you from doing that. But you have the ultimate say if you let it dissuade you. This is about starting something new, starting a new adventure. If you don't start, you'll never know. If you don't try it, you'll never know. So don't be afraid to be a beginner in walking your path right now. You're right on time, and that time is now. And that starts with you listening to your own desires, seeing where that pulls you, and not like judging it, just looking at it with curiosity and engaging with it in a curious, joyful, childlike way. The more you can lean into that, the more you will find yourself in a headspace and a heart space that is fulfilling and optimistic and expansive, as opposed to limited, contracted, and I'm just hearing small. Open yourself up to the new path that you deserve. You're long overdue. I'd love to hear how this looks for you in your life, so please open up and comment below if you feel called to. I love you very much, Cluster 4. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.